Hi everyone, I am thrilled to share the overview of our food cycle for the faster way to fat loss. If you have taken a deep dive into the comprehensive guide within our portal, you know that we have a low carb day. We also do regular macro days in addition to low macro days. We also have the occasional 24-hour fast or cleanse. So I'm going to break down the details of each of those days. I will share some examples of what your macro screenshot may look like on any given day as well. We're going to dive into low carb day to start because typically low carb day falls on both Monday and Tuesday of each week. Now our goal on a low carb day is to have less than 50 grams net carbs. Net carbs are our total carbs minus our fiber equals net carbs. Let me say that again. Net carbs are your total carbs minus your fiber equals your net carbs. You'll be able to reference MyFitnessPal as you calculate your carbs each day for your food log. And in a separate video, I will give you some details regarding how to calculate those macros. On a low carb day, our focus is to deplete our glycogen stores because when we deplete our glycogen stores, our bodies are then able to use triglycerides or fat for fuel. It's very rare that my clients coming into the program have allowed their body the opportunity to fast or be in that fasted state and also to deplete glycogen stores, which will burn that fat, will burn those triglycerides. And simply what happens is when we consume carbohydrates, our body transitions that into glucose and stores it as glycogen in our muscles. That glycogen is the first fuel source that our body uses when we do activity of any kind. If we deplete the glycogen stores by A, consuming less than a certain amount of carbs, B, engaging in fasted cardio, high intensity interval training, Tabata or metabolic training, which you might also hear me call sprints or speed burst training, and we're able to effectively burn that fat. Monday and Tuesday, we do the low carb days. Now, a couple notes for you. Be prepared for the fact that you might feel the symptoms of a detox. If you're coming into my program after months and months and months of eating processed foods or maintaining a fairly high carbohydrate food log, you might kind of feel a little bit of a headache. Be sure that you're drinking plenty of water on those low carb days. You will be fasting daily on the food cycle, including low carb days. So typically my clients are breaking their fast around noon on a low carb day. Drink your water, drink your herbal teas, drink your bone broth. You can drink kombucha, black coffee. Really, really important that you do stay hydrated through those low carb days. And since we are typically doing a fairly low sodium, high protein diet, it's even easier to become dehydrated. So we're going to focus on that water intake. I will show you an example of what a low carb day macro chart might look like if you're going ahead and plugging your food log into MyFitnessPal. So I'm going to share my screen with you and pull up our comprehensive program guide, which hopefully you've had the opportunity to look through. I will point you to the overview of the food cycle in general, and then I'm going to pull up an example of a low carb day macro screenshot. This screenshot right here is a really good example of what your low carb day macro chart might look like. And don't necessarily pay as much attention to the grams as you do to the pie chart and what that appears like. Most of my clients coming into the faster rate of fat loss would look at this chart and say, oh my gosh, I'm way over on fats. Well, here's the deal. On a low carb day, we're consuming quite a few less carbs, which means that fat is going to fill in the gaps. And as a very important note, fat will not make you fat, okay? Fat will not make you fat. We are focused on fit fats. We're having avocados, we're having coconut oil, we're consuming nuts, we're consuming fat from meat. That is really important to note. Typically, you will have a consistent amount of protein each day through the week. I will show you on a separate video how to calculate your macro goals so that you know the exact amount of protein that you should be consuming on a regular basis. The macro chart here is an example of what I would typically consume. So 122 grams of protein, that might be quite a bit higher than some of you who don't have quite as much lean muscle. You might be closer to 80 to 85 grams of protein. But I'm typically around 100 to 120 grams of protein on a daily basis. On a low carb day, of course, I'm staying under 50 grams of net carbs. As you can see right here, it says 71 grams of carbs. But the fact of the matter is that was 71 grams of total carbs minus the fiber actually equals the 50 grams or less. So yes, you do have to do just a little bit of math to calculate the carbohydrates. But as you can see, I'm consuming quite a bit of food on this low carb day. Quite a bit in the way of macros and calories. And then, of course, fat fills in the gaps. If you see a chart that looks similar to this, or maybe even more of an even split between the fats and protein, which is fairly typical, you know you're on the right track. Do not freak out if you see that fat takes up most of your macro chart on a low carb day. The next day that we are going to discuss is a regular macro day. Your regular macro days will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Again, you will set your macro goals in MyFitnessPal. Each and every one of us has different macro goals. We are all unique. We are all different sizes. We all have different activity levels. All of us have a different pace of metabolism. We all have separate macros, custom macros for our needs. So I will teach you how to set those right there in MyFitnessPal. On a regular macro day, typically we're going to engage in a total body strength training workout. On Wednesday, we do total body, including legs. Thursday, we actually focus on back, which is the second biggest muscle group and the second most important day of the week, behind Saturday, which is leg day. Typically on our regular macro day, we're going to have about 50% of our overall macros are carbs. 20% or more will be protein, and about 30% will be fats. Now, if you're doing quite a bit in the way of strength training, we can go ahead and bump up on the protein goals just a little bit, but let's talk through that on our group page together. What I do want to address for our regular macro days is Saturday, which is our leg day. On Saturday, we do something kind of fun, and if you've been privy or watched any of my social media platforms over the past couple years, you know I love pastries. I love donuts, and also I don't believe in deprivation diets. On our leg days, those regular macro days, we are going to leave room for discretionary calories. And what I mean by that is we're going to fit some pastries or some of our favorite treats into our macros. We will still track those treats. This is not a cheat day. This is simply a treat that we enjoy after our leg day workout. Many of my faster way to fat loss clients love leg day for this reason. So again, we are going to still abide by regular macros, but we are going to fit in some of those treats. So don't hit the macros and then have your treats in addition. You're going to make sure it fits your macros. So if it fits your macros, you will have those treats. I do want to address our low macro day, which is when we have a rest day paired with our food log. Rest days are extremely important. We need to take these days seriously. What we do on a low macro day is we actually have 25% less macros across the board. For example, if you typically consume about 200 grams of carbs on a regular macro day, you're going to do a little bit of math, and I'll do it right here for you so that we can learn together. I'm going to take 200, which is my typical goal for carbs, times 0.25 equals 50, and then I say 200 minus 50 equals 150. On my low macro day, I'm going to consume 150 grams of carbs versus 200. I'm going to do the same thing with my goal for protein. Let's say I typically have 100 grams of protein on a regular macro day. I'm going to say 100 times 0.25 equals 25. So my goal on a low macro day is simply 75 grams of protein. Again, you must pair this with your rest day. Take our active recovery days seriously. I do not want anyone to have the symptoms of hypothyroidism or the symptoms of adrenal fatigue. Many people come to me and they've been consistently under-consuming on macros and over-exercising. And when you under-eat or maintain a calorie deficit and over-exercise with insane workouts, something's going to break. And typically that something is your thyroid. And when your thyroid has a suboptimal function, you're not going to be able to burn fat. Your energy is going to be very low. it's going to negatively affect many aspects of your life. So let's only do those low macro days with a rest day as well. The final day that I do want to address is a 24-hour cleanse or fast. We do not implement this 24-hour cleanse and fast until the very end of the program. What we typically do is a 24-hour fast through weeks 4, 5, and 6. But we'll be on a touch base call and we'll be sharing details with you about the 24-hour fast prior to engaging in it. You also have the opportunity or option to do a cleanse on this day. The purpose of the cleanse would be to flood your body with micronutrients, which of course is very positive. A 24-hour fast is really going to accelerate the fat burning results. A 24-hour cleanse is going to flood your body with these good nutrients and give you many other benefits as well. Definitely let us know if you have any questions. Post them in the thread below. We are happy to answer those questions. I am so thrilled that you are in the Faster Way to Fat Loss. Do not be overwhelmed by the food cycle. It's the same each and every week besides weeks 4, 5, and 6 when we add the 24-hour fast. You will get the hang of it. Prep week and week 1 can be a little bit overwhelming, but I promise you, you're going to get it. And frankly, you're going to love the variety as we go through the program.